What are we hearing from the BRICS nations on the tariffs that Trump is suggesting?
Well, to begin with, I mean, there is a reference to tariffs tariffs, unilateral tariffs that is upending global trade. That finds mention in the BRICS leaders' declaration. It doesn't, of course, mention United States, but it just says that tariffs are unilaterally imposed tariffs are creating problems, headwinds for developing nations in the global south. That is one mention that is there. But having said that, the proposal, President Trump's proposal to introduce or levy more tariffs on BRICS countries or anybody aligning with the BRICS countries and their policies would be of great concern to everybody in the BRICS grouping, particularly because United States is a preeminent economy and countries like India, China, they have a substantial trading relationship with BRICS. And already these countries at one end are trying to negotiate a trade deal. So more tariffs, on the basis of their membership to BRICS and BRICS announcements is bad news or fresh trouble for all these countries.
Sudi, how concerning would Trump's move be for BRICS countries?
It would be very, very concerning because if you look at countries like, say, India, if you look at a country like, say, UAE or Indonesia, all of them have very strong trading relationship. It is a different matter that all these countries have in the BRICS been talking about more trade in local currency. In fact, this issue also finds mention in the BRICS leaders' declaration released some time ago from Brazil. And we have seen President Trump earlier making it very clear that there cannot be any move to move away from the dollar. BRICS countries like India per se have been very, very careful and they have been treading the line, very carefully. It's like walking on eggshells for countries like India and so many others. And, they've gone to great lengths to clarify that trading in local currency does not mean moving away from the dollar. But it's an argument that the United States may not quite accept. And that is where the trouble or the problem lies.
Sudi, thank you so much for that. Our government reporter, Sudi Ranjan Sen, coming to us from New Delhi. Let's get insights from Nirmalya Kumar, professor at the Indian School of Business. Nirmalya, good to have you with us. What do you make of this threat from Trump?
The problem is, that the threat is perhaps real to some extent, but it's very hard between the fog that is created by the Trump digital and verbal exhaust to find out what is the truth and what is going to happen. Because remember, he had said that he's going to put in tariffs on day one, then it became April Liberation Day, then it became July 9th, and now that July 9th is approaching, it seems to have been pushed yesterday to August 1st. So, one has to wait and watch to see what is the actual tariffs being put in versus the verbal bombast that comes from Trump. And if you notice that he said that there would be 160 deals done by April 9th, and only 2, as far as we know, Vietnam and Britain, have been done. And even in those 2 deals, the details are very sketchy as to what are the tariffs, what is exempt, what is going to be tariffed. And this transshipment thing with Vietnam is especially problematic because we don't know what defines a transshipment. Every product nowadays uses inputs from various countries. So if you say inputs from various countries is transshipment, then every product is transshipped.
It is challenging to keep up with the headlines and also the tariffs that he's wanting to implement. I'm just wondering, is there a sense that President Trump is clear on his tariff strategy? Do you think he has a tariff strategy?
One thing about Mr. Trump, we can say for sure, President Trump, is he has no strategy. I mean, let me just put it this way. As a management professor, all I can say is if you took all your businesses bankrupt, there must be some lack of strategy somewhere. And I think that you can see why his businesses did so poorly, because he responds off the cuff. He doesn't do the preparation required for any serious strategic outlook. And he doesn't come from an underlying framework within which his actions make sense. So it's very hard to make sense of Trump by saying there is a strategy behind it. It's relatively ad hoc. And the problem with this is it creates a lot of uncertainty for companies. Companies cannot invest if they feel there is deep uncertainty about the future economic environment. And what Trump is doing, he's creating a lot of uncertainty, not only for companies, but also for countries. There's no clear strategy that we can ascertain from his words and his tweets. And so as a result of this, he's frozen to somehow he's frozen the economy. Now, there's two ways to deal with this. One is to take everything he says seriously, and the other is to ignore it. And what the markets are clearly showing since April is that they're ignoring the entire Trump tariff story, and they've gone on to record highs because they feel that this is just a paper tiger. On the other hand, there's no doubt that some tariffs are coming, and they're going to be real.